Big changes are coming in Pandas 3, and among the biggest is the change in the way strings are handled. In this video, I show you how strings were handled in Pandas 2 and how Pandas 3 changes things not just behind the scenes, but practically how it will impact memory usage and the speed of your queries. So let's start off with this Marimo notebook loaded up with Pandas 2. I say import pandas as PD, and then I load a Parquet file with New York City traffic violations from 2020. And this is a pretty big file. If we look at the shape, it's got 12 million rows. And more interestingly, for our purposes, if I do a df head, we see that there are a whole bunch of columns that have an object D type. Object D type in the world of pandas means I don't want to store this inside of NumPy, or I can't store this inside of NumPy. So I'm instead going to store a reference to a Python object. So when it says here plate ID is object, that means that really what's going on is that each of these strings is being stored as a Python string in Python memory, and that all we're storing in pandas and NumPy is a reference, really a pointer, to that object. What implications does this have? Well, the good news is it means that we have access to all of the Python string functionality. That's great. But if I then say df info on this data frame, it will tell me all the D types, and way down at the bottom, it will tell me that this data frame takes up 4.0 plus gigabytes. What is the plus there for? And the plus is basically there because Pandas doesn't know. It doesn't know how much memory this data frame is taking up. All it's going to do is estimate. It's going to tell me how much memory the NumPy array behind the scenes is taking up, but won't actually go into Python memory and query each string and find out how big each of those is. Let me tell you, that's a big, big problem, because 4.0 could be 4.0, but more probably it's going to be much bigger. So I have to say df info memory usage equals deep. And if I do that, then it will go through each of these strings, count up the size in memory, and then finally come back and tell me how much memory this data frame is really using. And in most cases, it's 3 to 5 times more, in my experience at least, than it tells you here with that plus. The moment you see that plus, it's telling you, I'm lying, I'm guessing, and you cannot actually trust it. Well, here we go. It came back and it says 15 gigabytes. So if you were to take that initial measurement at face value, you would have underestimated it by a lot, by an awful lot, by in fact 11 gigabytes of memory. So basically these queries are going to use more memory, and they're even going to take a while because they have to jump into Python memory in order to do things. So for example, if I say here df of vehicle color, all right, that is an object string, a text, an object column with a D type. And if I say here value counts, to count how often each color shows up there, and then like if I calculate it, it'll tell me how often each color shows up. And if I then say dot head, say head 10 even, it's going to give me the 10 most popular colors. And we can see Marimo says that takes 279 milliseconds. Okay, not so bad. What if I want to do something a little fancier? What if I say df of group by vehicle color? Vehicle color. And for each vehicle color, I'm going to find out, registration state, how many states are actually using that color. Now, this is not something you're actually going to want to do. Oh, it's count, not counts. All right, and it comes back and it takes 577 milliseconds. Again, not terrible at all. But let's now compare all of these things to Pandas 3. I go into Pandas 3 and I have exactly the same commands. Import pandas as PD, load up the Parquet file, and I then get, if I say df.shape, I will find out that it indeed contains 12 million lines exactly as before. But if I do a df head, you're going to see now something very different. Suddenly the plate ID column and all the other columns that were previously object columns are no longer marked as object. They're no longer objects in Python. Rather, they are str columns. They are string columns. What's going on? Well, for strings, Pandas is now using PyArrow, an in-memory, very fast, very efficient data structure that is not only used by Pandas, but by many other libraries as well. and it's super, super efficient. How efficient? Well, first of all, I say df.info. Look at this. It's going to tell me right away how much memory it uses, and it uses 5 gigabytes. Not 5.2 plus. 5.2 gigabytes, that's it. In other words, because it is in memory, because it is in PyArrow, we don't need to guess, and we don't need to go take a trip through Python memory in order to find out how big each string is. We know exactly how big each string is, and it turns out that it's way smaller than the strings that we have when we're using Python. So already we see that we have shrunk our memory usage by about 3/4. Instead of going up to, 15, 16 gigabytes, we're now at about 5 gigabytes, so about 2/3, not 3/4, but even so, it's a massive savings in memory. Okay, well, what about the speed of execution? What if I once again say df of vehicle color, let's do here a value counts, and I'm going to do here dot head 10. All right, and that comes back in 164 milliseconds. Just to remind you, when we did it before, it was 279 milliseconds, meaning because we don't have to go into Python memory, we're taking literally half the time that we did before. Better yet, if I say df group by of vehicle color, and then I say on registration state, and I say count, right? I'm going to get exactly the same results as before, but now it's 257 milliseconds, and before it took 500. Once again, we're getting twice the speed that we did before. That's pretty darn impressive. One last thing I want to show you is the handling of nan. So if I once again look at df head here, I say, okay, what if I change that first element, the plate ID in the first row to nan? Right, or to NA, PD.NA. So if I say df lock of 0, because the first row, and then we'll say here plate ID, I'll say equals PD.NA. Now just to remind you, nan, np.nan, is the numpy nan value. Pandas has its own NA value, PD.NA, which we are trying to move towards. This is going to allow us many, many new things. So how do we handle this transition? Well, right now, if I say PD.NA, look what happens here inside of Pandas 2. It doesn't show anything, actually, and that's just because of Marima, what it's showing. But if I look at it explicitly, we see, yeah, that's NA. So indeed, we got NA there. But if I go here to Pandas 3, and I do exactly the same thing, so I'm just going to set it here to pd.na, and then I set it, and now I say df.head, look what I get. It shows me nan. Now, if I retrieve it, what am I getting? I'm indeed getting nan. I'm getting np.nan. In other words, Pandas 3 is making sure that this is standardized, that we are not going to sometimes have np.nan and sometimes have pd.na. It will standardize it all to np.nan, but as you can see also, it doesn't have to change us away from our string type. Unlike types in Pandas 2, dtypes in Pandas 2, where they are not nullable unless you're using something fancy like extension types or PyArrow, strings in Pandas 3 remain strings and are nullable. So we can mix together our nan with our string and not lose the stringiness, and we're still able to run all the string methods we want to. There is a lot going on with strings, and this should make things not only faster and smaller, but easier to understand. That's it for this video. I will be back with lots more about Pandas 3 and all the great things it is bringing to us as it gets released. What questions do you have about Pandas 3 or about strings or about Pandas in general? Let me know in the comments, and I will respond as fast as I can. And I'll be back real soon with lots more about Python and Pandas and everything in between. See you then.